The views and opinions
and otherwise wisecrack remarks
in this podcast
are solely those
of our highly caffeinated hosts.
They do not represent the opinions
of Fairchild Air Force Base leadership,
the 92nd Public Affairs Office,
or the United States Air Force.
Any reference to commercial products, companies, or services does not imply federal endorsement.
You've been warned.
Boom, 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 boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Come on, here comes the ready or not.
Welcome to The Boom. I'm Staff Sgt. DJ Ayres with my co-host,
Tech Sergeant Brian Bender.
We're back for another week of The Boom.
The Boom, and it's the end of January, which can only mean one thing. Dun 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 dun.
We're getting a new president?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
No, usually end of January, beginning of February is the Grand Old State of the Union Address, or hashtag SOTU. So earlier this week, President Obama put forth his State of the Union Address for 2015, and basically he praised the end of the combat mission in Afghanistan and vowed to continue to hunt down terrorists. I think the biggest thing that we can take away from the State of the Union address was the burn, the epic burn.
I have no more campaigns to run. My only agenda, I know because I won both of them.
And that seems to be the biggest trending topic. Not anything economically speaking, nothing like that, but that the president has a good sense of humor.
That seems to be the way it is with the news. Like, what kind of pants is the president wearing? Why does that matter? Because we're superficial as people.
But one thing that we can take away, militarily speaking, is the president vowed new action on cyber threats in the wake of recent headline-grabbing attacks, calling it a security and economic threat to the country.
Nearly every U.S. weapons program tested in fiscal year 2014 showed significant vulnerabilities. To plainly put that, some of our weapon systems weren't the most secure, and they opened the door for hackers in the future. Fortunately for us, we caught this ourselves, and we put together task forces to help beef up security, and especially with ISIS starting to do the cyber attacks. I mean, I know I talked about last week with CENTCOM and their Twitter account getting hacked. We have more control over the computer systems that we have here, and they're just letting us know, hey, we found some stuff and we fixed it and we're only going to get better.
And that's why, I don't know if some of you heard, before you dart, restart, or before you scoot, reboot, restarting your computer at the end of the day helps push out those updates that will stop from these cyber threats and stuff. Not to mention just you yourself being aware. OPSEC, InfoSec, while you're on Facebook, when you're on Twitter, they're out there fishing for information from us, and if you let your guard down a little bit, there's going to be ways and means and vulnerabilities that we have as personnel as well. So just be aware. The cyber world out there is a scary, sometimes tricky place.
And I need someone to hold my hand to help me make a 16-digit password with 3 hieroglyphs and a haiku.
Those are the worst. Those really are some of the most annoying passwords. Like, I want to write them down on paper, but then I know, well, then that OPSEC is out the window because there's my password on a Post-it note stuck above my computer.
It's an ongoing battle, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And I know it's an inconvenience sometimes, and sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but security is in place for a reason. I mean, you wait an extra 5 or 10 minutes at the gate in the morning, it's because of security and making sure the wrong people don't get in.
All right, switching gears. Stop me if you've heard this one. Michael Bay is producing a film that actually has a little bit of local Fairchild ties to it. Not the film itself. The film is called Project Almanac. Comes out later this month at the end of January, and it deals with time travel. As we all know, time travel in movies can only end in disaster. Well, in the movie, some young people do some time traveling, which then creates a ripple effect of a whole bunch of things going disastrously wrong. And one of the things that these young people see on the news is this plane crash. Well, they show this plane crash in the trailer, and it caught people's attention really quick because it just so happens to be footage of the 1994 B-52 crash here at Fairchild while we were practicing for an air show.
4 Air Force members were killed during this crash, 2 pilots and 2 crew members. And the families of the 2 pilots, Colonel Robert Wolf and Lieutenant Colonel Mark McGeehan, they saw this trailer and they were really upset because they instantly knew that, hey, that was my family member's plane. And they immediately went and petitioned Paramount and Michael Bay saying, hey, that's my family. You didn't even let us know that you were going to use this footage, and it's, we lost a loved one in this.
Now here's the thing, the footage that they're using in the trailer, they tried to, they did manipulate it, and then they added some foreground elements, but you could play the trailer and the 1994 footage of the crash side by side and know instantly that it is indeed the B-52 crash here from Fairchild.
The B-52 Stratofortress is an iconic plane, and it's unmistakable. When you come through the gates of Fairchild, you can't help but see the one we have on display. And then actually, that aircraft is pretty remarkable in itself because it's the only B-52 to shoot down a MiG.
The MiG killer.
It's a MiG killer, and that's why it has a red star on the side. Just a little history bump in there for you. I had heard about this, a few days ago, and found out that Michael Bay actually did the right thing. Well, we'll see if it follows through. He did the right thing. He contacted the families and said, hey, I have real ties to the military. I love the military. I'm really sorry that this happened. I wish there's something we can do about it. I'm going to petition the company, which is Paramount, to remove the footage from the movie. But we'll see if that happens because the movie is slated to come out at the end of January. So we're wondering if they're going to have enough time to go and remove those scenes because it's only about 2 to 3 seconds of footage actually in the movie.
So kudos to Michael Bay for realizing this mistake. Again, he wasn't the director. He was just the producer. He found out his first-time director had used this footage. And as we all know, Michael Bay is a big proponent of the military. A lot of his movies are military-themed and have been done with the cooperation of many of our branches. So kudos to Michael Bay for reaching out to the families, apologizing, and for trying to get this fixed as best he can.
And our hearts go out to the family members of those pilots and those aircrew members that were lost. I know it was 20 years ago, but anytime you lose somebody, it's tragic and it's always going to hurt.
It's always hard to transition from something so somber as losing a loved one, but you may have noticed something new in your emails this week.
So the Fairchild Flyer Wire, and that's Week in Review email. That's what that wire stands for. So it'll tell you about upcoming events and things that are going on Fairchild that may need your attention. And the goal of this is to cut down on the Fairchild alls that you may have already set to auto-delete.
Bing! So instead of getting inundated on a daily, almost hourly basis with all kinds of Fairchild all, the Fairchild Flyer Wire is going to be a weekly email that will tell you what is coming up and happening, and keep that in mind. There'll be it'll be more than just text of an email. There'll be pictures, there'll be graphics, there'll be headlines, there'll be links. So don't delete the Fairchild Flyer Wire. That's going to keep you well informed.
You still may get the occasional Fairchild all, but it will be on things that are happening, right now, as opposed to waiting till the next Flyer Wire comes out the following Monday. Things such as inclement weather or something catastrophic happening in the area. We got something kind of new this year that I didn't really realize last year. The freezing fog. I didn't realize fog could freeze the road.
But it makes the trees so pretty.
True that. Speaking of things happening on Fairchild, I don't know if you've noticed the new vet clinic is finally finished. It's over there by the Michael Anderson Elementary. And they're open for needs for your pets. They offer pet exams, vaccinations, microchipping, allergy testing, and heartworm testing. You can call and make an appointment, 509-247-2583.
Now, the one thing to keep in mind, though, with the vet clinic, I actually talked to them a couple days ago just to be sure they only work with cats and dogs. No bunnies, no lizards, no snakes, no chinchillas, no exotic animals, just cats and dogs. And the vet is there from Monday through Thursday, and Fridays they basically just have an on-call technician who's there to answer any questions, and that way you can also come and pick up medication. But they only do appointments with the vets Monday through Thursday.
And a lot of times they can tell you how to help your pet with things you may have around your home, such as Benadryl for maybe they got an allergic reaction or something like that. So sometimes just someone to call and say, hey, these are what you need to look for, make sure your pet's okay.
Speaking of taking care of your pets, how about taking care of your dog while you're away at work?
Well, they have doggy daycare at Tinker Tails. In the walk-in hours are 7 to 11 a.m. and 1 to 5 p.m. during the week, and on Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
But maybe you're not a pet person. Maybe you're the kind of person who wants to get out and about in our frosty, foggy local community of Spokane.
This Saturday, the 24th of January, the Spokane Chiefs are having Military Appreciation Night. That means discount tickets for the military. You can call ITT at 244-4797 and get some of those tickets. They may have some at the venue, but I think they're cheaper if you buy them ahead of time. And it'll also be Buck Night. That means dollar sodas, dollar popcorns, dollar hot dogs, and you can bring your civilian friends out. They'll have to pay full price, but at least they'll get some cheap refreshments.
But if you're not a hockey person like myself, never really been into hockey and being on the ice, but you still want to get out there with your family, there's plenty of activities to do.
Maybe you're not like Sergeant Bender and you do like the ice and the chilly weather. Riverfront Park Ice Palace is still open for ice skating. It's Tuesday through Sundays, 11 to 5, and they have extended hours Wednesday through Thursday, 7 to 8:30, and then Fridays and Saturdays are open 7 to 10. It's down in Riverfront Park Square, and it's relatively cheap. And if you want to call for more information, you can reach them at 509-625-6600.
Okay, now, but really, what if you want to be inside where it's warm?
If you have your family, there's a couple options out in Spokane for you to do this Saturday. There is a book reading of the Tooth Fairy Wars at Annie's Bookstore, and that's on 402 West Main. And this story is about a boy who wants to keep his baby teeth, but the Tooth Fairy has other plans. A happy ending awaits at the end of this Tooth Fairy battle. It's free, doesn't cost any money. It starts at 11 a.m. Take the kids, listen to a book reading. It's like, Reading Rainbow, but live.
No LeVar Burton, though.
You still want to go. I mean, I would like to see LeVar Burton.
Reading Rainbow. What's next? What do we got?
Still sticking with the family theme, Planetarium Saturdays at the Mobius Science Center. It's also on West Main. Not real expensive to go. Bring the kids out. You can take them to explore the universe, see stars, planets, and galaxies far, far away.
We're not talking Star Wars. Okay, enough with the family things. What if I'm a single guy and I just want to party?
I don't know about partying, but if you want to try some adult beverages, Total Wine and More on Newport Highway in Spokane is having a cinnamon and cider tasting, and they're also having a beer garita tasting. Now, I'm assuming that's beer and margarita mixed together, but
I don't think that would taste very good. Maybe beer for the guys, margarita for the girls.
if you're like me and you don't like spending that extra money to try something different, you like to stay with what you know, it's free to try it. So who knows, you might try it and you might like it. Maybe wine's more your thing, and you got a little more culture than some of us, beer heads. The Vino Wine Shop is having wine tastings from 3 to 6:30 on Saturday, and they're on South Washington in Spokane. If you want to give them a call to find out more info about them, 838-1229. There's also Bottles Wine Tasting. They're on Argonne Road in Spokane Valley. Maybe you live in Spokane Valley, and this is maybe a little closer. They'll be doing at 5 p.m. on Saturday. They've got wines as far away as France and as close as Washington. And if you do decide to drink, make sure you have a designated driver. And if for some reason your plan falls through, you can always call AADD at 509-389-2194. A cab is always cheaper than a DUI when it comes to the legal standpoint, and you can't replace a life.
So that pretty much does it here for this episode of The Boom. Hope you learned a little bit of what's going on, what's out there, what's happening in the world. Like always, catch us every Friday on either YouTube or iTunes. And again, like always, spread the word, spread the love, tell your coworkers, tell your friends that you listen to